Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Pastor R. Dallas Free, and I'm Amir and we're happy to be with you. Last time we talked about actually stepping into tough situations, stepping up as opposed to stepping back or stepping down, meaning when something's ahead of you and it's a challenge and you're thinking, and maybe I should not do this because it's too stressful or it's too difficult or it's too challenging. You say, no, that's what I need to do, because when I do, it's going to get easier. Yeah. And so to do that, we were talking after we were done talking with you, we were talking and we thought, wow, that really requires a level of commitment. And that commitment has to be strong enough to force you to go into that. So today we're going to talk about what that commitment means. It has to be part of a purpose and a bigger picture that either pulls you or pushes you into those challenging situations. So let's start with our passage for today.
Our passage is Philippians chapter 3 and verses 12 to 14. It says, "Not that I've already obtained all this." So the Apostle Paul is saying here, Dr. Amir, that he hasn't quite arrived yet. He's not all there yet. He's on a path. He's on the journey.
Right.
But he hasn't gotten there yet, which is perhaps true for us as well, that we are all on a journey towards something.
That's true.
There's a destination, and it's going to require some effort, some work. So then he says, or have been made perfect, to say that he's not complete yet. There will be a day when we are complete and perfect, but we are never going to attain to perfection or completion here. Then he says, but I press on. But I love that part of, I press on. I'm taking hold of that for which Christ Jesus has taken hold of me. That is, I'm trying to be the person he wants me to be. I want to do the things he really wants me to do. I really want to take hold of everything he took hold of me for. It was a purpose that he gave to me. And now I need to exert some effort to achieve that purpose. So it's the difference between sort of being positionally something, which he is, and now becoming practically becoming that person.
Right.
Brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind me.
Yes.
There was a whole lot in his rearview mirror, Dr. Amir.
Oh, yeah.
He had to let go of.
Yeah.
He had a whole life before he came to know Jesus that he had to sort of let go of, forsake.
Not the most honorable life either.
Yeah. He did some things he'd rather not remember.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting what's behind me, and I'm straining toward what is ahead, like a runner in a race who's putting forth all that effort, kind of leaning across. So he's putting forth all the effort in order to achieve that goal. He says, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me, heavenward in Christ Jesus. I think what we all strive to hear is from God, well done.
Well done.
Thou good and faithful servant. You know, you were faithful with what I entrusted to you, and therefore I have much reward for you. I've been thinking about this whole issue of the high cost of quitting.
Wow. Yeah.
Because there is an enormous cost involved with quitting something. You know, there's this, the psychologists have called, the article I was reading called The Upside of Quitting. They said there's something called the sunk cost. Sunk cost refers to that which I have invested in something.
Yes.
So let's say that I have sunk some money into an investment.
Sure.
Or let's say I have put a lot of energy into, say, a habit like smoking. And now my habit is when I become stressed, I smoke. So I spend somewhere between $5 in Virginia and $12 in New York for a pack of cigarettes.
Wow.
And I have this habit that I really want to get rid of. I really want to be free from, but I've sunk a lot of things into this.
Wow.
So there's something I'm carrying with me, right?
Yeah.
Which is my dad was a smoker. I smoke with my friends.
Right.
I find some pleasure when I smoke. It maybe keeps some weight off me when I smoke.
Right.
But I noticed that I have this hack cough. I have this emphysema.
Yes.
And other health-related problems when I smoke.
Yeah.
So now I have a sunk cost. And then they talk about what's called an opportunity cost. Because if I mainly stay in my sunk cost, I never realize the opportunity of really being a healthy person.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, when you think about that of like sunken opportunity, there's a lot of careers that we sink our energies into. One guy studied a young man whose name was Justin Humphreys.
Uh-huh.
And he was one of the best ball players in the country, 24 years old.
Baseball.
So he got recruited right out of high school. He was 17 years old. He went into the Houston Astros system, and for 6 years he was playing minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And he was making somewhere between $20,000 and $24,000 a year.
Okay.
He played baseball 5 to 7 months a year. He lived in his parents' basement,
Yeah.
and he had to take odd jobs.
Right.
And he looked at the prospect of playing professional ball, and he realized that only 10% of the guys in minor leagues make it up to the big leagues. Now that was his career ambition.
Right.
But it looked, with every year in the minor leagues, less and less promising. And he looked at some of his contemporaries, and they were making much more money than he was. They were getting married. They
Yeah.
were beginning their families.
Right.
And here he was living in the basement of his family, and he decided that he had sunk
Yeah.
a lot into this, but the opportunity cost was too great for him to stay where he was. So he had to make a
Right.
change.
Yeah.
Another illustration of this is of the military, and we've talked a little bit about
Yeah.
the cost of being like a Navy SEAL.
Right.
And one person wrote, he said, talking about Hell Week and Navy training, he said it was a week of continuous military training during which most classes sleep for a total of 2 to 5 hours over the course of the week.
Wow.
During Hell Week, you're running for miles on soft sand on the beach, doing a 2-mile ocean swim, running the obstacle course that puts you on small teams and asks you to land these small rubber boats on jagged rocks in the middle of the night. There's all these tests which are designed to push people to their physical, mental, and emotional limits. But I don't think many people want to say to themselves, they quit. Because you know what they do, Dr. Amir, when they have to quit? They have to ring this bell.
I've seen that in a movie.
I have to explain to my peers why
Right.
I'm just stepping away from this.
You're announcing it to everybody. I am a quitter. Ding ding.
I am a quitter.
Wow.
I am a quitter.
Oh my gosh.
So I think we need to have some clarity about the sunk costs of what we have sunk into some of our habits,
Yes.
and then the opportunity we have if we let go of some of them, like Paul said, forgetting what lies behind,
Yes.
stepping into what's ahead of me. I need to step into a life that's disciplined
Yeah.
in order that I can realize the opportunity that's in front of me.
Right.
I know a lot of studies show now that if you work out consistently and you stop, what happens is that your blood pressure goes up, and your blood sugar levels go up, and your fatigue level increases. So the studies are showing that if we can stay on the same path over a long period of time and not quit,
Right.
there's more optimum results. So there is a pretty high cost of quitting.
There is.
So talk to us a little bit about quitting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this we can go on for a long time, and listening to this, it makes me think that part of God's desire is for us to change,
Yes, it is.
to go through transformation,
Yes.
the renewing of the mind, and so on, and so I know God loves us.
Mhm.
And He loves us exactly as we are.
Mm.
You're not earning God's love. But I heard in a sermon, He loves you too much to let you stay where you are. He loves you too much not to work towards changing you.
Yes.
But change can be painful. Change can be uncomfortable. Change is going to require you to give up that sunk investment.
Yes.
And change requires you to look for those opportunities and all of that. So that's my thought when I listen to what Paul is saying is forgetting the past and pushing towards the prize, that bigger picture, that bigger purpose. So physically you need to be ready, mentally you need to be ready, and biochemically you need to be ready. So some of those Navy SEALs who end up ringing that bell, they there was one of those or one or more of those that wasn't enough to handle that. Either it was an emotional breaking or a physical breaking, where they just didn't have what it takes to make it through. but the ones who push through, and it seems like, and I think we talked about this a bit back, is what the commanders, the leaders, the generals, the ones who are designing these trainings, what they want is the one who's mentally, emotionally tough, not the one who's the strongest physically.
Yes.
Because sometimes the one who's strongest physically, they break emotionally and they don't make it through. And a lot of life is like that, where we come up against a challenge and we know if we keep going, we'll get somewhere, but we don't, and we back off or we walk away from a good thing sometimes. And that's really hard to discern.
Yeah, and I think we look at, some of the phenomena in our culture of marriage and what maybe 50% of our marriages aren't making it.
Mm-hmm.
And so couples are coming up against challenges, irreconcilable differences, offenses, differences in perspective, financial pressures. And so what's happening is couples are saying, rather than stick together and stick it out, let's just call it quits and just walk away.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out, the legal arrangement, how to settle the assets, the disposition of the children, the custody. And now you have this culture of making it easy to quit because of no fault divorce.
Right.
We can simply just say we're done and let's just walk away friends.
Yeah. In which case, it goes back to what you were saying at the very beginning, is the commitment.
Yeah.
The commitment that they had. So the question becomes, talking about marriage, if both parties are committed to the relationship and there's no option, we're going to work together and we're going to make this happen, I can guarantee the outcome's going to be good.
Yeah.
Because they're committed more towards the harmony of things working out than to the selfish desires of, I just want what's best for me, and so I'm going to walk away. And a lot of times with those situations, they both want what's best for them and they don't really care about the other person. They go, okay, let's just walk away. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, and I can't see the cost of that being worth the sunk cost into the marriage, even if they've only been married 1 or 2 years, which is a lot of the breakups are happening earlier on in the marriage.
And when we walk through that tunnel of conflict and come out resolved, we have greater intimacy in our relationship.
Yes.
So we never knew the opportunity we have if we worked through things versus walked away.
Oh yeah.
Marriage will work 100% of the time when we're 100% committed.
Yes.
And it's like I'm all in.
Exactly.
Yes.
No options. It's like when they say burn the boats. And it was a military term where apparently a group of soldiers landed on the beach somewhere and they said burn the boats.
Yes.
Burn the boats and then start fighting, because I don't want you to think you have an option to retreat. So we win or we perish, and they won. So it's win or perish when it comes to things of God. You commit, you stay. You commit, you go. There's no turning back. It's like jumping off that diving board. Halfway down, you can't turn around and get back on the diving board. Once you're off, you're off. It's the same thing. Once you make that promise before your friends, before God, in front of a respected member of the clergy, you're committed. You're done. You jumped off the board. You can't go back up there. A friend of mine was asking, who's the most powerful person in prison? And I was thinking, why is he asking that? And he said, well, just think about it. Who's most powerful? I said, well, it's got to be the person with the most friends, right? The guy who has all the friends in prison, he's the most powerful. He said, that's not the one who's most powerful. Okay, well, is it the one who has a weapon? Maybe he has an illegal weapon. So, no. Is it the one who has all the cigarettes? Is it the one who has all the supplies? Is it the one who has the detergents? I don't know. I'm reaching now. And he keeps saying no. And he said, well, then tell me, who is it? He said, it's the lifer. Wow. The one who's in prison for life. Wow. Because when that person walks into his cell, jail cell, the prison cell, he knows that's his home permanently. Yeah. He's not walking out of there ever. He'll be carried out of there, but he's not walking out of there. And that's it. So what he does, the first thing, on day one, he decorates the place. Makes it home. He agrees with that. It's done. He goes, I'm here forever. I might as well make the best of it. So he does. He'll make the best of it. They seem to be more content. They seem to have the better, deeper relationships. They seem to try to enjoy their time because there's no option. What if we were lifers the minute we got married?
Wow. We accepted that this is a lifelong commitment,
Yeah.
and we adapted to whatever changes will happen to us
Right.
and to her.
Yes.
Things won't stay the same.
Exactly. So you take root and you say, I'm here. I want this to work. I want this to benefit me. I want to enjoy this relationship. So how am I going to do that? Well, I got to make sure she's happy too.
Yeah.
I got to make sure she's committed too. So I need to give, and that's a principle
Yes.
in the Bible is giving. Is we have to be willing to give and sacrifice and lay our life down.
Well, to the husband, God's pretty clear saying that husbands want you to love your wives like Christ loved the church, which is a total sacrificial servant kind of love. That means like my life for your life. I am willing to lay my life down for you.
Yes.
So it's not about us ruling over our wives as much as it is come underneath and serving our wives
Yes.
and sacrificing ourselves to make sure that their needs are being met.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. That we are equals in our value,
Yeah.
in our worth,
Yes.
and so we need to display that and show honor, love, respect, the works, and it's actually a lot easier that way.
What do you think the implications of lifer are in terms of our physical health? If I am a lifer in regards to being a healthy person,
Yes.
what does that mean to me in terms of commitment to my health?
The commitment is you never stop. So you're always going. Doesn't mean that you won't have the donut every once in a while if the donut is something that you really want, but your thought process, your actions, your desires are always on the path of, hey, nothing's going to taste better than being in the shape that I want to be in.
Yes.
Nothing's going to feel better than being able to do the things I want to do, and being committed to an image or a picture. So I tell my patients, imagine you're 99 years old and you wake up in the morning and you have no trouble getting out of bed. And when you get out of bed, the first thing you do is you exercise, and you warm up your body. You get blood flowing, and then you maybe you do some time in prayer and reading. But then you eat your breakfast, and there's no limitations or restrictions to what your body can handle. So you can eat a nice healthy breakfast. You can prepare it yourself, and then you go out and visit your friends. And maybe they're all in nursing homes, but not you, because you're healthy and you're strong and you're able to do these things. And you spend your day doing things you enjoy doing, and by then, at the age of 99, you're hanging out with your great-grandchildren, and you have the mental clarity to build memories, with your great-grandchildren. And you're of value to them, and you're giving them, and you remember so you can pour into them and tell them stories. And you're not saying, I can't get up, or I can't move, or I can't do this or that. Is that life worth working towards?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. So, is such a life possible? Well, let's see. Are there 99-year-olds in the world who can do those things? Yeah, there are. So it's possible. If it's worth working towards, and it's possible, then you burn that image in your mind, and every day you say, I'm in training. I'm in training for that moment. So that I turn 99, and on my 99th birthday, God willing, I live that long, and that's a whole different topic, right? Because, a lot of us are going to get to 80, and that's about it. 77, 80, and that's about it. And that's fine with me, because I know where I'm going, and hopefully you do too. And there's a joy that comes with that. And there's a solid hope we stand on. But if you do, and God decides, what is it to you if I want Him to live longer, or to live to see me come back, is what Jesus might say. You never know how long you're going to live.
So you mind, Dr. Amir, there's a clear image of being a healthy, let's say, 80-year-old or 90-year-old. I was just talking with a guy who had run a half marathon at 80. And I said, tell me about the guys you ran with. He said, no, I ran by myself. In my category, there was nobody 80 or older running a half marathon.
Wow.
I said, well, if you run long enough, then it means you're definitely going to win the race. He said, yeah, I was a guaranteed winner. But I thought you were the winner before you began the race because you had trained for this, and then you went out and did it. And you had such a good attitude about running, you know.
Amazing.
Just joyful
Right.
person. So there's this clear image in your mind of being that guy, of being that 80-year-old who can really get up in the morning and make himself breakfast and see his friends and move
Yeah.
about and no restrictions.
Right. Yeah.
And then the efforts toward that,
Exactly.
training toward that.
So it's a lifelong commitment at that point.
Yeah.
Then you're a lifer. Then every day you're taking steps towards that. Every day you're making choices, and it's going to be natural, and it's going to be easy because you just naturally know. Yeah, you ever see people who are just they've been thin
Yeah.
their whole life, and they're thin, and they're still thin, and in old age they're still thin, and that's just their body. Right, and then you say, "What do you do to stay thin?" And they don't really have an answer for you. They just, "This is how I am." Well, because somewhere along the line, probably learning from their parents, they just were programmed with a certain lifestyle,
Yeah.
and they naturally make certain choices. They naturally stop eating at a certain time. They naturally don't eat certain things or limit how much they eat of a certain something, and that's that. And my dad used to weigh himself every single day. And he always said, if I'm half a pound heavier today than I was yesterday, I fast till I get rid of that half pound.
Discipline.
Every day he weighed himself, and he knew exactly how, and his weight didn't change. I mean, it might go up 1 or 2 pounds, but then you better believe it, the next 2 days it goes right back to where it was, because he just wouldn't eat till it came back down. And that was it. That was his commitment. So I've learned that. So I watch that, and I make sure that I'm making. But it's easy for me because it's who I am. It's my mental image of me. I know what I look like, what I feel like, what I act like. And unless something drastic happens to change me, I don't think those things are going to change.
You talked about, Dr. Amir, about how our bodies basically draw from sugar we eat, but then they can turn into fat burning machines when we begin to fast.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that commitment to when you go into fasting and how your body burns off.
Yeah, so it takes 8 hours for everything in your body to get digested and processed and used. And so most people eat within 8 hours. So they eat dinner, within 8 hours they eat their breakfast. And then less than 8 hours they eat their lunch, and less than 8 hours they eat their dinner. And then again, so at that 8 hour mark, your body has used up the resources from the foods that you've been eating. So it's searching for other foods. And a lot of times those reserves are in the form of glycogen in your muscles, which it can pull out and put sugar back in your blood and use those. But then also it searches for body fat and starts to burn that body fat. So the next 4 to 8 hours after that, your body's really looking for ways to burn fat. And so it's good for you to fast. Good for you to fast and let your body actually start to use some of its natural resources. It makes you healthier. It also reduces inflammation in your body and gives your intestinal tract a break.
Yeah. Thank you. I know our time's probably gone, but
We probably have 5 more minutes actually.
oh, do we? Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking here about how to sort of be a lifer and how to sort of like step into this lifestyle, and we've mentioned the fact of like having a clear mental image and then making some effort in that direction. One part of that is diet.
Yes.
And you're saying that if we give ourselves a break after 8 hours, our body begins to burn its fats, its reserves up.
Right.
How about on the exercise side of things?
You know, when you were talking about Navy SEALs, and I was visualizing ringing that bell, and telling everybody else that I look up to who hasn't quit yet, telling them that I'm quitting. And I was thinking, you know, I probably wouldn't ring the bell on the first day. Hopefully I have some stamina and strength to make it at least 4 or 5 days into that, hell week. And you know, but I was envisioning quitting. And I was thinking, what am I looking like walking away from that? And I go, you know what? I need to remind me that those few days still changed me. I'm still not the same person who walked in. I'm walking out different. And we talk about how God wants to change us. God wants to do a work in us so he can do a work through us. and make a difference, expand and grow that kingdom, it's the work that's in us. It doesn't get wasted. Yes, if we stop exercising today and never exercise again, we will backslide.
Yeah.
But you won't lose the work you put into it. You know, that still benefited you. That still added some time to your life. It's not a total waste. So if you quit, don't say, I have to start all the way back from the beginning. You're already changed.
Yeah.
You're already a different person. So you walk back in, you know, and you start over, but know that the few days you made it through that hell week changed you. And you're coming in with more experience and a different mentality on what it feels like when you're about to quit. And next time you get that emotion, next time you get that thought, next time you get that feeling, you go, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And this time, I'm just going to go a little further.
We're trying to increase your capacity.
Yeah.
Our capacity to handle the stress. So maybe at this point I can't do this, but I have now pushed myself to a place I've never pushed myself into before.
Yes.
And so I keep extending out what I'm pushing myself toward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in the Dominican Republic last weekend, and we laid out on the beach like an entire day. Do you think anything positively changed in me by doing that? It's comfort.
Yeah.
Comfort won't make you better,
Yeah.
bigger, stronger, faster. Pain does. Pain does.
Pain's your friend.
So you step into it. You step into it and you go for it using that big image of what am I like as a 99-year-old? Commit to it. You say I'm a lifer. I'm committed for life. I'm in this forever. Same with the marriage. You get a vision in your mind of what your marriage looks like at the very end. And then you go, that's worth it. That we grew old by each other, by each other's side, and we never lost sight of the fact that we were committed, and we did for each other, and we helped each other, and it was beautiful, and it was blissful, and it was honoring to God, and it was worth it. And you're looking back going, I'm glad I did it. You keep that image in your mind, and you work towards it.
Yes. And from a spiritual standpoint, that marriage where it's like that, of the husband's loving the wife, and the wife is respecting her husband, that's an image of the gospel.
Yeah.
The beautiful love of God and the response of us to God of respecting Him. So when we do that, we put on display the beautiful gospel of God. That He's come and He's come to love us, and we're to respond to His love with respect.
Exactly.
Yes. So
exactly.
when couples do that, that's just so beautiful to me.
I agree. I want to be one of those couples. 100%.
Yes.
100%. Hopefully you do too. I hope you enjoyed this. Put your questions down below, and if you like our videos, go ahead and subscribe and tell us what you want us to talk about next time.
All right. See you then.
Take care.